for optimal comfort. Mike's Ultra Soft Outer Layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the Mypillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to mypillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of Mypillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make Mypillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped Mypillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got Mypillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented Mypillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress topper, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, only $29.99 with your promo code. With our 60-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose. Sleep well, America!
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.
Live from our Denver studios, it's America's Voice Live with Tudor Dixon and Steve Groomer. America's Voice Live.
Hello and welcome to America's Voice Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tudor Dixon alongside Steve Gruber, and today is Thursday, September 17th. And as always, we have a great show ahead. We have Terrence K. Williams, who will be joining us to talk all things Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. And as we get reports of Europe opening up despite the pandemic, we're going to have a little chat with David Coleman. He is senior counsel at the Great Lakes Justice Center, and he's fighting the lockdown in Michigan. The president is holding a rally today in Wisconsin, and as you know, this is your place for complete coverage, so you need to check it out. Throughout the show, we're going to be checking it out, but stay with us tonight because the rally will be at 9 o'clock. We will have coverage right before that. And vaccine versus face mask. Which one should you go with? We have recommendations for you, but apparently some other people do too. And if by chance you, like many of us, feel like your life got turned upside down, we have the perfect getaway for you. We'll get to that too. But in the meantime, Steve, one of the president's trademark nicknames seems to be becoming a little bit too familiar.
Well, you know, when you get too comfortable and you have that awkward moment and you say out loud that thing you meant never to say in front of anybody, especially the person you're talking about, well, that's exactly what happened to Jim Cramer on CNBC earlier this week. He's talking to Nancy Pelosi, and suddenly he refers to her as, well, as Crazy Nancy. Joining us now, Terrence K. Williams, to talk more about it. I mean, Terrence, we've all been there. It's that awkward moment, and it comes out of your mouth. You don't intend to say it, and then you want to bring it back. And then you have that look on your face. I mean, Jim Cramer looked like he wanted to slide right under the desk. Let's listen to this, Terrence, and then we'll get your reaction. Here it is.
I mean, what deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office, I would never use that term. But it is hard,
you just did.
isn't it? Oh, come on.
But you just did.
You know what I mean. You know
I
what
know
I
what you
mean.
mean.
The
I
reverence
do.
I have
I do.
for the office is so great.
Terrence, I can't get enough of watching this clip because I laugh every time I see it because you know he's said it a number of times before because it came out way too easy.
Well, when I heard him say that, a tear dropped from my eyes because a couple tears dropped because and it wasn't tears of sadness, it was tears of happiness. I'm just tears, happy tears to hear somebody finally call this woman crazy to her face because she is absolutely crazy. And we all know that, we all believe that. I think 99% of the American people believe Nancy Pelosi is absolutely crazy. And you know what? She got a taste of her own medicine. She attacks the president every single day. She once tried to fat shame the president. She called him morbidly obese like a few months ago on national TV. But she got all choked up when somebody called her crazy. But I mean, I'm just so happy right now, and I cannot thank y'all enough for playing that clip again. Can I see it one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. We should play it
What
again.
deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office. I would never use that term, but it is
But you
hard,
just did.
isn't it? Oh, come on.
But you just did.
You know what I mean.
You just
know
did.
what I mean. The
I do,
reverence I have
do.
for the office is so great.
Perfect.
Man.
Yeah,
Perfect.
well-
He's absolutely right though. Like if we're gonna be serious, Nancy Pelosi is crazy. She is crazy enough to force the American people to stay at home when she's out getting her hair done, getting her nails and her toes done, but she was out there, but she's been rooting and rooting for America to stay in the house for the rest of the year, and her policy is horrible. They are killing America, and so that goes to show you that Nancy Pelosi is crazy. Like the things that she is forcing on the American people is absolutely crazy. The way that she treats the president is absolutely crazy. The way that she treats the American people, she treats us as if we are dumb, as if we are ignorant, as if we are stupid, and she thinks that we believe everything that comes from out of her mouth, which we don't. And that right there makes her absolutely crazy.
Talking about unbelievable, you probably caught this too, Terrence. I'm sure you did as well, Tudor. Then Jim Cramer's like, well, I meant to say that. And you guys don't understand, because what I was trying to say is that the president shouldn't call her Crazy Nancy. What I was trying to do was explain something. Here is his apology that I don't buy for a second, by the way. Take a listen.
Earlier today, when I talked to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Squawk on the Street, I made a very stupid comment. It was a tongue-in-cheek attempt to make a point about the harsh tone of the negotiations in Washington, but I felt completely flat, and I apologize for that. As I said immediately after the comment, I want to make it clear that I have an incredible amount of respect for both the Speaker and, of course, the office she holds.
Oh, that awkward moment when you tell the truth and you just can't believe it happened and everybody's listening. Terrence, I mean, he told the truth. He says it behind closed doors. He just happened to say it with cameras rolling.
He read that apology from a teleprompter. I mean, that's ridiculous. He meant what? You know what? People need to learn to stand up for the things that they believe in. If you believe that Nancy Pelosi is crazy, then that's what you believe, and you stand your ground. So I'm here to say right now, I believe Nancy Pelosi is crazy, and I refuse to apologize for believing that. And I really believe it, and I think half the American people believe it too. A lot of people just don't want to say it. I mean, now if people want to apologize to Nancy, where's apologies to President Trump? They call him crazy every day. Where's his apology at? Do he not get one? So only Nancy Pelosi gets apologies. Only Nancy Pelosi get a slap on the wrist, And I like that Chris Rock, it came out that Chris Rock said that, that it's the Democrats' fault because of the pandemic, because they were so busy focusing on the impeachment that they let the coronavirus in the country, because they were so obsessed with the impeachment, because she was so crazy behind getting President Trump out of office that they let the pandemic slip right through the cracks on into this country, right into this country. And that right there makes Nancy Pelosi absolutely crazy, her obsession with President Donald J. Trump.
Well, I want to switch gears for a minute here, because last week on Sunday, the president had a rally in Nevada, and the business owner who held the rally, Extreme Manufacturing, Don Ahern, was fined $3,000 for observing 6 violations. He had 6 observed violations from having this rally. We've heard a lot of the Democrats saying we need to shut down, we need to shut down. Meanwhile, Europe is opening, but I just want to play this clip of the business owner saying why he did it. Here it is.
My goal was to continue the great American traditions of the right to assemble, and to free speech. No different than the thousands that are allowed to assemble at gaming tables, maskless pool parties, and protest across the street.
When I see clips like this, it makes me think that fining this man was probably a mistake because he just came out and campaigned for this president in a very, very powerful way. What are your thoughts?
You know, we shouldn't be fining people for trying to, for opening up their businesses. We shouldn't be fining people for trying to make it, for trying to survive, for trying to pay their bills, for trying to save their businesses that they build up, from ground up. And for crying out loud, the man opened up his doors to the president of the United States of America. They didn't fine him because he broke any rules. They fined him because it was all about President Trump. If they did that, that was an attack on that man because he is a Trump supporter. Is because, now he's campaigning for the president now. I mean, they don't like when people allow President Trump to host. They don't like when people allow President Trump to have rallies in their buildings, and they attack these people. They attack anyone who is a Trump supporter. So this was not about him breaking any COVID guidelines. This was all about him letting President Trump in his establishment. That's what that is about.
I think you nailed that. Let's talk about the national mask mandate that Joe Biden says he'll put in place, Terrence. He also says he would lock the country down. He's not sure how he would do it, maybe by executive order. If he is elected president, he says he will get this virus under control. National mandates for masks, national mandates for lockdowns, more damage to private business owners like that man in Nevada we just listened to. This is a guy who can't do a press event without having his cheat sheet. He's a guy who can't have a conversation with a reporter without a teleprompter. A guy who doesn't know the difference between Iraq and Iran, frankly. Listen to this one.
U.S. troops died in Iran and Afghanistan.
Once again, you've seen it time and again, Terrence, and at some point, yes, it's funny, but at other times it's really serious. If you don't know where American soldiers are on the ground, and you don't know the difference between Iraq and Iran, and you want to be the leader of the free world, imagine if Donald Trump had made that comment. What would the news media be saying?
The media would be all over it. The media would be like, it's time to impeach this president. He doesn't even know where the soldiers are at. That's what the media would say. Now, Joe Biden, he cannot lead this country. Maybe he can lead someone into his basement where he hides out at all the time. He can be the leader of his free basement, but he can't be the leader of the free country. The man is not in his right mind. His memory is totally trash. He can't remember anything at all. He can't complete a sentence. The guy doesn't know where he's at half of the time. They have to remind him every day that he's running for president. And he probably thinks Kamala Harris is Rosa Parks. I mean, this guy he's totally lost. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. He probably thinks Barack Obama is Malcolm X. This guy doesn't know who people, he can't tell the difference between this and that, We can't have that in office. Come on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Terrence K. Williams, thank you so much for being on today. Real America's Voice contributor. We always appreciate having him. Steve, he's right about that. This is what people keep talking about, though, that he's confused, that he is unable to talk without a teleprompter. We went through that yesterday. Several times they've come out and say, well, we don't want to talk about whether he's using a teleprompter. He's using a teleprompter in conversations. These are not speeches. These are conversations with people. But the news media is hitting hard. They really want to get this president. So now, a few days ago, you have the CNN fact checker coming out and saying that the president claims he received an award, the Bay of Pigs Award, and he says that he didn't. So he put out a tweet, here it is, saying, for those confused by Trump's claim he got the highly honored Bay of Pigs Award, he got an endorsement in 2016 from the Bay of Pigs Veterans Association. It's not an award. He has a long history of turning endorsements and other non-awards into awards. This goes on and on and on. But then we have another tweet from the Bay of Pigs Association, also from the president. He actually has a picture of himself with the award. Let's put that picture up there. He says this is an award. And then the association comes out and says this is an award, and CNN is still fighting him and saying it's not an award. What does that look like to you, Steve?
You know, it might be a bit biased, Tudor, just a little bit biased by CNN. You know, and you look at the coverage of everything that's happened this week. We talk about the incredible Middle East deal put together by the president, bringing together Israel, Bahrain, and UAE, unprecedented in this generation, first time in 26 years. And CNN, what did they do? They talked about how far people were apart, whether or not they had masks on, you see. And so that's where their coverage is. They're working very hard to get this president out of the White House. The problem is they put Joe Biden up against him. And Joe Biden, according to Robert Gates, which we'll get to in a minute, has been wrong about every single foreign policy item he's ever talked about, voted on, been involved with. In fact, in January of this year, I want you to hear this, in January of this year, Joe Biden took to the podium to say Donald Trump was going to take us into more wars, into more problems, into bloodshed and disaster and fiasco. In January, he said this about the Middle East. Hear what Joe Biden said. Listen to this.
A president who says he wants to end endless wars in the Middle East is bringing us dangerously close to starting a brand new one. A president.
Now, the problem with this is that Joe Biden went on for several more comments there, saying that the president was going to lead us into war. And yet, what happened this week? We have brand new peace accords, first time in a generation. Historical peace accords. Now we know that Saudi Arabia and the Sudan are also going to be following suit, joining the UAE and the Kingdom of Bahrain, who joined Jordan and Egypt with peace in the Middle East, further isolating Iran, which we just learned Joe Biden doesn't know the difference between Iran and Iraq. But Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, further isolated. And this is why Joe Biden is not the guy that should be running the country as the leader of the free world. He doesn't understand the dynamics of the world. Tudor, just as Robert Gates told us when he wrote his book, Duty, not that many years ago.
Absolutely. And this is something that we've talked about just in the last couple of days with what's coming out with Ukraine. And if you look at, I mean, it's not even that he doesn't know what's going on in the world. He has not paid attention because he's looking for his own personal advantage and his family's advantage. We spoke with Todd Wood about it yesterday, who calls them the Biden crime family. I've never heard it referred to that way, but when you hear these new tapes coming out, it looks very suspicious. And you have to ask yourself, do you really want this man back in the position where he has power to use these countries to his advantage?
Well, the question is, does he know? Does he know the players on the field? I mean, he understands Ukraine, at least Hunter does. He knows China to a great extent, at least Hunter does. The question is, does he understand the dynamics that are at work here? Because you look at what happened in the Middle East. Obviously, he didn't understand the dynamic that Donald Trump could come in not using the front door, using the side door to get to a deal that everybody said was impossible. And remember, people like John Kerry and others said, if he moves the embassy, blood is going to run in the streets. We're going to have wars, endless wars in the Middle East because of Donald Trump. That's what John Kerry said about Donald Trump's maneuvering and chess playing in the Middle East, and yet it has involved and evolved into a peace deal like we've never seen in the last 25 years. Here's John Kerry. Listen to what he said.
There will be no separate peace between Israel and the Arab world. I want to make that very clear to all of you.
Yeah. There will be no peace. I want to make it clear. Well, John, you were wrong. The problem is you'll never be held to account because the mainstream media will not hold you to account as they should, or under the Logan Act for interfering in foreign policy, which the United States government, the Department of Justice, should hold you to account for that. It will never happen. The media won't cover it. They'll be more concerned about whether or not Melania changes out the rose garden and if the colors are perfect on her dress. These other silly things and distractions. It's funny how Nancy Pelosi refers to a Middle East peace deal as a distraction when we watch what they actually talk about, Tudor, which are true distractions. And I do want to share one more bit of sound here. We do have Robert Gates, I believe. Do we have that? I believe we have Robert Gates talking about the fact that Joe Biden failed in every foreign policy decision he ever made. Here's a list of what Robert Gates said not that long ago. Listen to this.
Started with voting against assistance to Vietnam, the assistance package at the end of the Vietnam War that basically left the South Vietnamese government high and dry. I think he said with the fall of the Shah that this represented progress toward human rights in Iran when the Ayatollah took over. He voted against almost every element of the Reagan defense buildup, the B-1, the B-2, the MX missile. Opposed Reagan's approach to trying to deal with the Soviet Union. He voted against the first Gulf War. So there's a few examples.
A few examples. So says the former Secretary of Defense who served under George W. Bush and Barack Obama. He has some experience, I would say, Tudor, in the field. And for him to say, here's the list where Joe Biden was wrong, that's a pretty significant list, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, but going back to what John Kerry said, of course, there wouldn't be peace for people who weren't trying to achieve peace, Steve. If you look at that administration and what they were doing, it's just like when Barack Obama came out and said to bring manufacturing back, you'd have to have a magic wand. Or you'd want to bring manufacturing back, which is not what Barack Obama wanted. This is not, they didn't want peace in the Middle East. If they had wanted peace, they wouldn't have aligned themselves with Iran and gone out and given them pallets of cash. That was not going to stabilize that area of the world, but that's not what they wanted. So John Kerry says this, you have to remember that John Kerry had power at that time, and he didn't, this is not what they wanted. They were not going to achieve this on purpose. There were people in place that were going to make sure this didn't happen. They still don't want it to happen. They don't like seeing what the president's doing. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this on America's Voice Live.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life.
They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. As we said earlier, there is a presidential rally tonight. He is out on the scene in the country, this time in Wisconsin, Steve, because the president is not staying in the White House. As we've seen, he's been traveling all over. He has occasionally pushed Joe Biden out of the House as well. We saw him in Florida. And he needed to be in Florida, but I don't know that he actually achieved his goal while he was in Florida. He had a couple of mistakes coming out with his Smelling Your Hair song. I'm pretty sure that was what he did, although appropriate for him, appropriate with the Despacito. A little bit desperado, though, I think. But we do have Amanda Head on the ground in Wisconsin. So we want to go out and see what is happening. Is it cold out there? Are there a lot of people? I know it's getting a little cooler here in Michigan, and I remember the days when I had to stand out there in 0-degree weather. So I'm wondering how you're doing, Amanda, from California to Wisconsin.
Yeah, when I was sitting in Los Angeles, checking out the weather here, I saw the temperatures going down to 42, and I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know what this California girl is going to do with that. But the sun is shining. It is absolutely glorious here today. As you know, I'm from Alabama, and this feels like good old tailgating weather. It's just beautiful. But I hope you guys don't mind. I was eavesdropping on your conversation in the last segment, and Steve was talking about Robert Gates. And of course, his book that I would encourage a lot of people to read is called Duty. And Robert Gates, who served in the Obama administration, wrote that book while Obama and Biden were still in office, and it is a scathing account of their foreign policy decisions. And you contrast that with President Trump, and I know a lot of people in 2016, foreign policy wasn't a huge push for President Trump. A lot of people agreed with his sentiment about bringing troops home, but anything beyond that was not really something that was an official campaign promise. But lo and behold, almost 4 years later, we're looking at a president who has now been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice this time around, last time around once, and a president who has brokered peace deals with Serbia and Kosovo, obviously Israel with Bahrain and UAE. And here's something that people are missing about those foreign policy decisions and the deal that was brokered between Bahrain and the UAE. Do you think for 1 second that Bahrain and the UAE went into this deal with Israel without having the Saudis' approval? Absolutely not. And they talked about, when they had that meeting at the White House and in the Rose Garden for the historic signing of that deal, they talked about how there were other countries who were itching to sign on to this deal. And I think that no doubt the Saudis could quite possibly be next, and then maybe a windfall of Middle Eastern countries who are willing to come to the table, because as we all know, after peace comes prosperity. And I think that countries in that region are experiencing a little bit of diplomatic FOMO, fear of missing out on those types of relations and the prosperity that usually follows.
Amanda, I think you're exactly right about that. It will only be not only be Saudi Arabia, but Sudan as well, the two countries we're hearing that are closest now to being the next two countries to normalize relations with Israel, which would be incredible, to say the least, in my lifetime, and all the war and bloodshed in the Middle East that we have seen. So I would expect the president to talk about law and order a bit tonight from the podium. He'll talk about foreign policy. He'll talk about Joe Biden and his failures on foreign policy. Anything else you expect tonight, Amanda, real quick?
I think law and order is going to be the main thing, and he's probably going to talk about that with respect to Tony Evers, who is the governor here in Wisconsin, a Democrat, who is not experiencing a surge in popularity with all of these riots, of course, happening in Kenosha and around the state. So it's going to be a great time tonight. Everybody here is in great spirits, and we'll talk to you later.
Amanda, thank you so much for that. Amanda Head in Mosinee, Wisconsin for us here on America's Voice Live. And Tudor, he'll go through the litany of things. He will cover law and order. He will cover the economy. We now know that more people had more money and more home ownership and more prosperity before the pandemic began than at any time in American history. These reports now coming out showing exactly where we were in 2019, and I'm sure the president will have time to talk about that. So we'll see what happens. You mentioned it, Tudor. Joe Biden remains holed up in Delaware for the most part. He went out to Florida. I don't know if he accomplished what he wanted to do there either, based on some misstatements, some gaffes, just kind of not really having a firm grasp, I think, on the issues at hand oftentimes. And if his handlers aren't right there all the time, Tudor, man, it's frightening. By contrast, the president will go out on the stage tonight where he loves the crowd. He loves the energy. You and I have covered those together in the past all over this country. We've covered the rallies pre-pandemic, of course, and they were big. They're full of energy. Even the smaller ones, I think, Tudor, are going to be energy-packed, and as you know, the president loves this.
Well, and you've talked quite a bit about the number of questions the president answers to Joe Biden's, which I think is 6-1 right now. But even if you look at what happened yesterday or when he was in Florida, he opens a piece of paper. He goes to ask for questions. He opens a piece of paper. It takes an uncomfortably long amount of time. And he looks at it, and he looks out at the crowd, and he picks a reporter. It says he has to get his list out.
Yeah. Mary from ABC. We'll go. It's frightening. Stay right there. This is America's Voice Live. Tudor Dixon and Steve Gruber. We'll be right back.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this.
They stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something.
If you can find something to help you get back out and be active like Copperfit, go for it.
Absolutely.
Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. As I said earlier, we have David Coleman with us. He is Senior Counsel for the Great Lakes Justice Center. David, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
Yes, I want to talk to you because I know that you're working very hard against some of these lockdowns here in Michigan. I'm in Michigan, you're in Michigan, but Pennsylvania just had an interesting ruling because the judge said that their lockdowns are unconstitutional. What does this mean for other states in the country who feel that they're getting a raw deal when it comes to these crazy lockdowns?
Well, it means a lot. We have this judge now, a federal judge in Pennsylvania, has ruled on a few of these constitutional issues, similar to the issues we're raising here in Michigan on a number of cases. And he's pointing out how these lockdowns that are extended over a long period of time violate the First Amendment, that we all have the right to assembly and to get together and have speech or talk or protests or whatever you're doing for church or just to go out for a meal. And that right to assembly is being infringed upon. So he ruled a First Amendment violation. Then he ruled for businesses and for just stay-at-home orders, that those violate the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, as well as equal protection. So those are the three constitutional issues. And the judge really had some pretty strong language about how we do not operate under one-person rule in this country. And executive fiat is not the way we go, whether there's a pandemic or not. So it's a very important ruling, one that I hope other judges around the country will start to emulate for sure.
That's an interesting statement because I know here in Michigan, lawmakers have said they don't agree with these lockdowns. And just for example, our restaurants are still at 50% capacity right now, but just today, the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association said if these restrictions aren't lifted, because a lot of these places are able to have more people outside, so restaurants have outside seating right now, and that's really gotten them through the summer, but in Michigan, you're not having outside seating for very long come September. So these restaurants are concerned, and they're saying that if the governor doesn't lift these restrictions, it's going to be 4,000 to 5,000 hotels and restaurants that will close. How do those restaurants fight? I mean, do they come to someone like you and have you work on their behalf? How do they get to the point Pennsylvania got to?
yeah, they need to hire counsel and file lawsuits and go to court and ask courts to make similar rulings like Judge Stickman did in Pennsylvania. But yes, you're absolutely right, because once we hit the winter months here and it starts getting cold out, people are not going to be able to eat outside, and these restaurants can't survive on these limited numbers. So to bring these similar sorts of lawsuits appears to be the only way that these businesses even have a chance to exist and continue and survive. And another issue that comes up through this is the whole idea that this is really a takings by the government. The government is taking the property of private people for its own purposes. Now, they can say it's for a good purpose and that they're trying to stop the spread of the virus and all that, but it doesn't change the fact that the government is ordering these businesses to literally shut down and be destroyed. I mean, that's what they're ordering. And under eminent domain law, a similar type of argument, if the government takes property, they can't do it without just compensation. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of these types of takings lawsuits coming up in future months also.
So they're saying that this is to protect people. That's what we keep hearing, and it's mostly in these Democrat-led states that this is happening. And so there's this push between people in the country who are saying the president is keeping schools and everything shut down, but the president really doesn't have jurisdiction over the states. But as you said, it's also not one-person rule, but that is what it's become in many of these states. If we look at Europe right now, Europe has opened up. They've said this pandemic is something that we have to live with. They don't have the testing that we have. In fact, just today we're hearing that the UK is well behind on testing, and it's going to be a serious problem for them. They also don't have the vaccine development that where we are right now, which obviously I believe that we would also share that. But like you heard yesterday, it's going to be hard to get the doses. And so if you see the UK and Europe opening back up, what is the science that we're still hearing from these governors that will say we're keeping it shut down? And what legal alternative do we have to this science?
Well, that's the big problem. And that's the big question, is nobody knows what science they're relying on. They're not transparent. They're not making it available to the general public or to anybody to justify what they're doing. They just simply say the mantra. It's the science and the data, and we're following it. We represent Carl Mankey, who's the barber in Owasso, and they're still trying to take his license away. And we had a further continuation of the hearing last week. And we called our expert witness, an epidemiologist who's world-renowned. His name's Dr. Richard Ilka. And he testified last week how clearly around the world you can see this lockdown policies that the governors and different countries have implemented are not working and are not any more efficient than places like Sweden and Taiwan and other states that have stayed open. And that, in fact, the death rates and the infection rates are either pretty much the same or lower in those states that did not lock down. So you have issues like that I think, our expert had a lot of data and a lot of studies and things to prove his point was that these do not work, but yet they're still trying them. And that's the other thing Judge Stickman in his decision in Pennsylvania was very, very clear on. This has never been done in our country. We've had pandemics. People talk about the Spanish flu 100 years ago. There was a big pandemic in the 1950s and all that, yet we have never shut down our economy and our business community the way we have for this situation we're dealing with coronavirus. It's never been done. And so, the judge just said, look, for an emergency, for a short period of time, maybe there's some justification, but not 6 months later.
Yeah, so you're talking about companies suing for lost revenue. Now, would that be suing government? We know that the government has come out and said state governments are saying we need money to bail out the state. But the state governments don't seem to be concerned with the businesses that are going down. If they were to get state money, could companies sue and get that money that came from the federal government?
Well, wherever the money comes from, the lawsuit would be against the state. So whatever sources they use to pay any judgment would be up to the state as to how they paid it. But the problem you have here, too, is this is like a double whammy for these businesses, because they're not only being forced to be closed or to operate at a very low capacity where they can't make any money, But now we're coming up with summer property taxes are due, and our winter taxes are not far behind. And if a business cannot pay the property taxes, guess what happens? The government comes in and forecloses and takes your property. So they create the circumstance where you're shut down and you can't operate and you can't earn a living or make any money, pay your employees, pay the taxes that should be getting paid to the state. They make it so you can't pay that. And then when you can't pay your taxes, they'll come in and take your business property. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's quite a scam.
Really, it is really, I mean, when you put it like that, it's really twisted. Now, really quick, I want to say, you fought for salons with Carl Mankey. You got salons open. You helped him. You fought for gyms. But we still have businesses that are closed down. So what happens to theaters and bowling alleys and all of these other restaurants that are only 50%? And I don't think gyms are full capacity yet either, are they? How many businesses do we have still closed down?
Well, pretty much every business is still closed down to some extent. In Michigan, they have these different regions, so it depends on what region you're in. But there's not a single region in Michigan that's 100% open. So everybody's still closed to a certain extent, and that's the problem, especially restaurants who operate on such a thin margin already. How are they supposed to make it? You know, if only 25% in some regions or 50% in another region, they can't make it.
Yeah, no, it looks like 4,000 to 5,000 of them won't, unfortunately. David Coleman, thank you so much. Senior counsel at the Great Lakes Justice Center. We appreciate having exactly what he said. I mean, this is what we keep talking about. What will these businesses do? And this is why the president has pushed so hard for the country to open. So when you see his opponents coming at him and saying he wants to open the country irresponsibly, economy comes second. Economy and health have to come together. That's what he keeps saying. And I'm sure that's what we'll hear tonight in Wisconsin. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on America's Voice Live.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
Back on America's Voice Live, Steve Groomer and Tudor Dixon on this Thursday. Good to have you along for the conversation. Joining us now is Jessica Rivera, who's been keeping a close eye on the census. Believe it or not, it's going to be wrapped up in, 13 days now, which is remarkable. A month earlier than it was supposed to be when it got started. But the president said, you know what? That's enough time. Let's get to it. Jessica, welcome to the program. What's going on?
Thank you, Steve and Tudor. So every 10 years, the U.S. has a census, as we know. 2020 is a census year. But what is so important about the census, I know a lot of people ask that question. Well, the census counts how many U.S. citizens are in fact in each state for now. And I say that because California is technically in a legal battle with the president over counting illegals in the census. President Trump says no, and California says yes. The decision may be headed to the Supreme Court, but back to the census numbers. These numbers determine how many congressional representatives a state gets and whether a district remains the same or is redrawn to either add seats or lose them. The numbers also determine how federal funding and state funds are used when it comes to things like public schools, roads, highways, police, firefighters, and public transportation. The deadline for the 2020 census is coming up. It's September 30th. So the way you can make sure that you're counted is by going to 2020census.gov. You can call 844-330-2020 or by completing and mailing back a paper questionnaire. And you can also head over to the U.S. Census Bureau's website for more information. Tudor and Steve.
Jessica, so we hear about so much fraud with mail-in ballots. Is there any way that you can have fraud in the census too? How do we protect ourselves?
And so the answer to that, Tudor, is yes. The most obvious is counting illegals as of right now when that is technically not allowed. And that's obviously to get more money for their public funding. And then there are scams that stem off of the census. And the ways that you can protect yourself from those scams is knowing the Census Bureau will only contact you by phone, mail, or in person. They will not contact you via email. You can verify any of those methods via 2020census.gov. They have a Census Bureau online staffing directory there that you can double check, and they will never ask for your social security number. They won't threaten to fine you or take you to jail if you do not participate in the census. And the census only asks 5 questions. They'll ask, number 1, how many people live in the residence? 2 is the gender, race, and age, ethnicity of each person who resides there, those relationships between each of those people. They'll ask for your address, phone number, and whether or not you rent or own.
And obviously, Jessica, there's been a big disagreement, if you will, back and forth about counting or not counting those that are in the country illegally. Those in California obviously would like to do that. By estimates, 3.5 million illegals living in California. Other states with big illegal populations include Texas, possibly Florida, and elsewhere. Why this big argument? What difference does it make? What's the impact?
Well, for obvious reasons, like you said, California and those states want to take advantage of more numbers because then they get more funding. And to be honest with you, I say just do both. And I think a lot of people do that. And they say just have both, one with illegals and one with just citizens. Then the federal funding can use those numbers of citizens to do their funding properly. And sanctuary states and cities can use those numbers with illegals to actually fund on a local level. But also states and cities who choose not to not commit to police, or they need to tell people ahead of time if they're going to commit to having a police force, or if they want to defund them or get rid of them. I think a lot of people are asking because what this census does is it funds for 10 years, a decade, which is very long. So if you want to get rid of your police, then you should be funded equally, or you should have to give that money back if that's something that you choose that you don't want to go forward with. And maybe the sanctuary states and the sanctuary cities need to maybe fund that at their local level. And then the federal money obviously can be used accordingly. But Tudor and Steve, so the census website, which I went there to kind of do all this research, and they talk a lot about minorities being the most harmed with these census. And the reason behind the narrative is due to, they say, language barriers and that immigrants and minorities don't understand. And the narrative is baffling to me, and I'll explain it to you, because as a minority raised in Los Angeles, all you have to do is put up public signs like these areas do for everything else on how to be counted, use the languages necessary in those areas like they do for everything else. And they need to stop assuming that immigrants and minorities are incompetent at including themselves in censuses or not knowing what's going on in their own community. It's very arrogant. And the majority of immigrants it's surprising. People would very much be surprised, but a lot of immigrants know more about our country than we do. And so I know that's a huge narrative that the Census Bureau likes to push, that, you know, immigrants and the minorities are the ones who need more time, or they need to have their handheld to be counted, and that's not always the case.
I think that's a pretty good point you've made there, Jessica. Jessica Rivera here with us. And the other thing that people argue about, of course, is representation in Congress, because if California has 3.5 million illegal aliens that get counted in the census and included in the number, then you would have 5 members of Congress, which would impact the Electoral College, federal money, and all of those things. Jessica, great reporting. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing that with us today.
Well, thank you, Tudor and Steve.
So, Tudor, there's the argument. Obviously, it's about money. It's always about money, isn't it? About how much money comes back to the district. But that issue with representation, about 750,000 people on average are represented by each member of Congress across this country. So if you have 3.5 million illegal aliens in California being counted, or possibly more, that would mean California, with its 53 members of Congress, should only have 48, which means, in effect, California is stealing from other states that are not as well represented. States like Montana, that should have a 4th member of Congress, they believe, instead have just 3. And so when you see states like Michigan, New York, Illinois, and others losing a member of Congress or 2 expected after the 2020 census, I don't think we should be sending them to California if they're counting illegal aliens. That's my personal take on it.
Well, I think that's what the president is coming out and saying as well. You have to be aware that you could win based on illegal alien votes. And that's what Joe Biden is right now saying. He's pandering to the illegal alien community. And so if you go out and you say, hey, if you vote for me, I'll make all of these things great for you in the country that normally wouldn't be because you are not a citizen, that really can mess up an election. So all of a sudden you have these people that have power within the system once they have a representative in their area that's counted for them. And no politician on the right wants that.
You got that right. In fact, illegal aliens in California have more representation than 20 states. Think about that during the break here on America's Voice Live.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new Mypillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new Mypillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's ultra-soft outer layer is a patented temperature-regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. Thank you for joining us. Steve, we were just talking about the census, going through exactly what it means if you were to count illegal aliens. And we were talking about Joe Biden's stance on immigration, which a lot of people on the right certainly don't agree with. But I want to play a clip of him talking about this. Here it is, and then we'll chat.
Part of what I'm going to send to the United States Congress is a total immigration bill to provide a pathway to citizenship for undocumented people in the United States of America. It makes no sense for us not to do that. And they're part of the reason why we're growing. They're part of the reason why, look, you have 24 out of every 100 kids in grades in school today are Latino, Spanish speaking. It makes no sense, none whatsoever, for us to walk away and not provide for access, not provide for education, not provide for health care. Look what's going on. And so it's part of the strength of the country. It's not a weakness, it's a strength.
There's a lot of opponents to doing that.
Yeah. Well, I look at that and I'm sitting here and I'm writing down the list of what he's putting forth. Education, health care. I also want to fact check him. I don't know if that's true or not. He throws out that 24 out of 100 elementary school kids in America today are Spanish-speaking elementary school students. I don't know that that's true. I've never heard that number before. And Joe Biden, I'm sorry, but he's not a credible source, as we say. I think we need to fact check that and figure out what we believe, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I think that he needs to be fact-checked regularly, which is funny because he's the one saying he needs a fact-checker on the president. But this is the world of politics. We do have Ben Bergquam. He is on the ground in Wisconsin, where the president will be tonight. So I want to head out to Ben. Ben is also a fighter on the immigration issue. You've spent a lot of time down at the border. We were just talking about Joe Biden coming out and saying he wants to give a pathway to citizenship to all illegal aliens. What is your take on that?
Oh, it's national suicide. If we do it again, we did it. This was one of the things I disagreed with President Reagan, who was a great president. But when we did amnesty for illegals, that opened the floodgates to the disaster that we have today. Now we have 12 million. I believe it's actually closer to 30 million illegal aliens in this country. And on top of that, when they talk about DACA, when they talk about these children, many of them have been here for 20 plus years and have still not even applied, not even tried. Many of them have criminal records. It's ludicrous to say that they have a right to something that they broke into this country to get in the first place. Or their parents.
Yeah, Ben, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, 22 million is the number I think that Yale University put out. So I'm with you. I don't know if it's 30 million, but I know it can't be 12 million year after year. How can it stay 12 million forever? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But give me a sense of what's going on in Wisconsin right now. What's going on the ground there? We see this time and again. The president's on his way. It feels like there's good energy coming from behind you. What's going on?
Yeah, in fact, this is the front. We're just near the front of the line. We've got folks out here, actually the very front. Chaz is the very front of the line here. We got Rick here as well. They've been here for a couple days. And we've got some gals here that I interviewed in Milwaukee. They were here. Their big issue, when we hear from the left, it's all about killing babies, it's all about abortion. But it actually is on the conservative side to these young ladies. It is about abortion, but stopping it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we believe we're the pro-life generation, and we believe that at no life is worth to dispose, and all lives matter, preborn and alive right now. And at 18 days there's a heartbeat, and life begins at conception.
Anything else? Real quick?
I was gonna say life begins at conception.
Life begins at. Now I met these young ladies again pre-COVID. Now it's post-COVID. You're not afraid? You're still out here?
COVID's got nothing on us. No, anything for the president.
Anything for the president. Who's excited to be out here, guys? All right, they're about to head in, guys. We're going to continue to bring it to you.
We love Trump. We love Trump.
Real America's voice right here.
We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump.
He loves it, Tudor. He loves it out there. Thank you, Ben. He just loves.
Have you ever? You've been to a rally with me. You were at Battle Creek with me, right?
Several.
Wasn't that where we were?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we were at Battle Creek.
Yeah,
we were at
you used to be
Orlando,
on the risers with me.
think, yeah, different places. Yeah, they used to like us around here. We used to get to travel and everything. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was me. Maybe it's my fault. I don't know.
Now you're stuck with me every single day.
Yeah. And Ben gets all the plum jobs. I don't know. Maybe I've upset somebody. HR, please. Get HR on the line. Thank you very much. We'll do that during the break. We'll get HR. We'll figure out what I've done wrong around here. But the rally coverage is complete here tonight. Correct, Tudor? We'll have complete coverage here on Real America's Voice, as we always do. What are the details?
Yes, absolutely. Tune in at 8:30. The rally is at 9. It was changed. I think we had it at 7 yesterday. Today it was changed. I know the president is going to be speaking at the White House today, so maybe that's what pushed it back. But make sure you tune in at 8:30. We will confirm at the break and come back and let you know for sure. But I believe it's 8:30, so be here at Real America's Voice. We'll be right back after this.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
Welcome back to the second hour of America's Voice Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tudor Dixon alongside Steve Gruber, and today is Thursday, September 17th. Let's take a look at those headlines. The president, as we just saw, is holding a rally tonight in Wisconsin. The time did change. It is later tonight, so make sure you tune in here because we always have the best coverage for you. We will play the entire rally uninterrupted so you can see everything the president has to say in Wisconsin tonight. It's a big state for him, so I expect him to go a little bit long tonight and probably off of prompter, but that is pretty typical of this president, so we should expect that. Immigration, as we've talked about, will be on the ballot. It's an issue in 2020 as it was in 2016, and the former President Joe Biden has weighed in on the latest. But new developments may sway voters. We want to cover that shortly. And vaccine versus face mask. If you can't keep up, we've got all the latest recommendations for you, although it seems like there's a bit of a debate on that right now. So we're going to be bringing you some clips that happened over the past few days. And if you, by chance, feel like us, you might feel like your life got turned upside down. And if that's the case, we have the perfect getaway for you. So we'll get to that. Also, in this hour, don't go anywhere. It's going to be a great show. In the meantime, let's get back to those masks. Steve, it's going to be an ongoing debate, don't you think?
Well, Tudor, I'm old enough to remember. I am old enough to remember when we were told by the CDC and the World Health Organization, don't wear masks if you're healthy. I'm old enough to remember when Anthony Fauci said, if you're healthy, you don't need to wear a mask. There's no point in that. I'm old enough to remember those things because it was so long ago. Dr. Robert Redfield yesterday on Capitol Hill giving some contradicting comments in my estimation. Now, we're going to help sort through it and you tell me what you think, because here it is, Dr. Robert Redfield saying that he even thinks now that masks might be more important in saving lives and keeping people healthy than a vaccine if we get one in time. Can you imagine? Masks more important than a vaccine? Here's Dr. Robert Redfield. You see what you think.
And I will continue to appeal for all Americans, all individuals in our country, to embrace these face coverings. I've said it, if we did it for 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, we'd bring this pandemic under control. These actually, we have clear scientific evidence, they work, and they are our best defense. I might even go so far as to say that this face mask is more guaranteed to protect me against COVID than when I take a COVID vaccine, because the immunogenicity may be 70%.
What I find so startling about that is that in the year 2019, ancient history, 2019, the CDC put together an entire booklet, an entire battle plan to deal with a pandemic. And in that battle plan, it says healthy individuals have no benefit from wearing masks. Fast forward less than 12 months, we're in a pandemic, a flu-like virus. The novel coronavirus is not unlike a flu virus in the way that it moves around in the environment. And suddenly, masks are not only important, the government wants to mandate and demand that you wear them. It's an unusual maneuver because during the time that they had plenty of time to evaluate, reevaluate, look at pandemics and outbreaks around the world, the CDC, the World Health Organization, Anthony Fauci, and all of these others concluded masks for healthy people were not necessary. The people that needed masks were those that were infirm, that were in a place with a sick patient or were sick themselves so as to not transmit it. Okay, so I'm with all that. If you want to wear a mask, that's perfectly fine. If it makes you feel better that I wear one when I go to the grocery store, that's perfectly fine. But let's not kid ourselves about the real efficacy of the masks and will they really stop the spread of the virus? Because if it were true, most states, California, New York, Michigan, Ohio, have all had mask mandates in place for weeks, months now, in fact. And the numbers in many of these states, notably California and Michigan, are dramatically on the rise. So if masks were that effective, why are we not seeing it in the numbers, Tudor? That would be my question.
Well, I also remember a time when they said that we were just flattening the curve and then we would go back to normal. Yeah. There was only going to be 14 days where we needed to flatten the curve, and then all of a sudden that changed, and then we needed a vaccine. So we went from we have to flatten the curve to we have to have a vaccine, and this was an absolute. We had all of these Democrat governors saying we are not opening these states. Nothing is going to change until we have a vaccine. But let's take a look at Robert Redfield one more time, because he had to defend vaccine timing, because even though we wanted a vaccine, now we are extremely suspicious of a vaccine, because if you listen to Democrats, Trump is mixing it in the basement of the White House himself, but that's simply not the case. Listen to this.
But there was no political intention whatsoever.
Okay, well, I must say that I don't find that persuasive. You're saying that there was not a single contact from the administration after the president said, I'd like to have a vaccine before November, before the election. No one from the administration contacted your team at any level to say, can you please emphasize that message? There were no emails, no meetings, no phone calls, no backroom chats connected with your choosing that particular date.
Absolutely not. It was independently developed by our subject matter experts that were laying out this document to start to plan for the jurisdictions that we needed to get that letter out so McKesson could get the licensing agreements that they needed to get their distribution sites up. And they drafted the letter, the subject matter experts that I signed.
Steve, we've talked about this so many times. These are pharmaceutical organizations, companies who are creating these vaccines. They are in trials. They are working as quickly as they possibly can to get this vaccine. Correct. Because that's what they've been tasked with, considering the entire country has been on shutdowns. And you know, when this first happened, this is all we heard about. But I want to point you to something else. What you've heard from Joe Biden over and over again is, if you elect me, we'll have a fast vaccine on coronavirus. So why is this vaccine no good?
Well, let's start with this. Senator Jeff Murphy, get some sun. Good Lord, young man. You look like you haven't been out in the sun in a month and a half. You're pasty white. Get some sun. Vitamin D.
Kills
a little deficiency
coronavirus.
there. I'm telling you, you need fresh air and sunshine. We've known that since World War I and the pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic of World War I, 100 years ago. Senator, get some sun, please. Do us all a favor. You look terrible, son. The fact of the matter is, it's become political. It's all political. We know that Pfizer, for example, here in the United States, is in phase 3 human clinical trials. They needed 30,000 subjects. They're just about there if they haven't just reached it. So the idea that there could be a workable vaccine in place in 30 days' time is possible. We also know that the government laid out billions of dollars, billions, to make sure that if Pfizer or anyone else had a breakthrough, they'd be able to go straight to production. There'd be no lag time for production. So then Robert Redfield says, okay, November 1, governors be ready for distribution. And what happens? The Democrats panic. Oh my gosh, that's before the election. What if he comes up with a vaccine then? We don't want that. You see, at that point, you have to question their motives altogether. What do they really want? Are they willing to sacrifice a few more American lives just for a political point or two? I'm not going to say that. You can make the decision on your own. But when they say November 1 is all political, yeah, on whose part? Those that are trying to get a vaccine done through the CDC, through the FDA, because here's the thing, Donald Trump is not cooking it in the basement. Joe Biden might be, he's in the basement all the time. Donald Trump is not making the vaccine in the basement. It has to go through government trials. It has to go through the FDA. There are steps, there are procedures, there are doctors, there are safety measures put in place. Now, this may happen in warp speed, as they say, but those measures are not overlooked, Tudor. They're still in place.
Right. Actually, Senator Kennedy spoke about this. Let's play what he had to say about Operation Warp Speed.
And what do you call this effort, this worldwide effort led by the United States of America to develop a vaccine? What is the term for it?
Operation Warp Speed, sir.
Have you ever seen anything like Operation Warp Speed?
It's unprecedented.
How long does it usually take, this will be my last question, Mr. Chairman, to develop a vaccine?
I think the fastest prior was 2 years and usually 4 to 6 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy. Tudor, I've had the great pleasure of interviewing a number of people in my career and very fortunate to do so and to do this program with you. But John Kennedy is number one on my list. That's the guy that I've never interviewed that I'd like to. I think you would as well. This is America's Voice
absolutely.
Live. We'll be right back.
The hottest new razor is taking the men's grooming world by storm. And if you don't have it, you need it. Micro Touch Solo, the hyper-advanced full-body razor that trims, shapes, edges, and even shaves with micro precision. And it's totally safe to the touch. Go solo for full body control with one tool. No nicks, bumps, or ingrown hairs. Edge beards and goatees with one touch. Clean your neck, barber shop perfect. And check this out. Snap on the guide to tame growth and perfectly shape your full beard. And keep new growth stubble trimmed exactly to your style. And look, the Solo Full Body Groomer trims precisely the length of hair you want. Snap off the guide and remove unwanted hair anywhere in seconds. What makes Solo different than your ordinary razor? Dual-sided German stainless steel blade. Shave up or down at 200 microstrokes per second. The Ultra Flex pivoting head contours perfectly to you for precise results. 3 custom grooming guides for control of exact length and shape. And a built-in LED light so you never miss a spot. Solo is so precise, you need no creams, no soaps, and no water. Ditch the old man clippers and toss the scissors. You've got to go solo. Call 1-800-709-9777 or go online at microtouchsolo.com and get yours now for only $19.99. Complete with German stainless steel blade, pivoting head, built-in spotlight, and 3 custom grooming guides. Everything you see here for just $19.99. The all-new MicroTouch Solo Full Body Groomer. The one tool that does it all.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Tudor Dixon, and we have Nicholas Balassi with us from Just the News. I want to talk to him about an interview he had yesterday. Nicholas, thanks for coming back. You spoke with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, and she was talking to you about this coronavirus stimulus. You were pressing her on why they want so much more money. Now, we know that there has been no deal negotiated. This is obviously the talk among Washington, D.C. right now, what's going to happen. But you had some hard questions for her about where the funding would go. Tell us about that.
That's right. So the House, they passed the $3.4 to $3.7 trillion HEROES Act. There's no real estimated exact cost. It hasn't been scored, but that's just what the congressional leaders are estimating the whole package would cost. It's not an official cost, though. Anyway, that's the deal that they're really sticking by, the Democrats. They want that. So it includes $1 trillion in funding for state and local governments who've been impacted by coronavirus, who had to shut down, whose economies have been in trouble because of it. And so the public sector unions have been out front saying they want this money. Some of them are even running ads online about how Congress needs to act on this and encouraging people to call their representatives to get this passed. So the Republicans are saying it's too much money. McConnell's been pretty outspoken in the Senate about it, saying it's not necessary to have one state bail out another because you're using a massive amount of taxpayer funds to get this through and give this aid out. So I asked Gillibrand about it, and she said she voted against that stimulus package they put up in the Senate, the Republican-controlled Senate, because it didn't have this state and local aid in it. So I said, well, a lot of Republicans are opposing it because they think it's helping unions too much. It could go to maybe the pensions of different state and local employees, government employees. And she said that's, in her words, BS. And she said it's, not right. And if that money were to go through, it's to help state and local employees, government employees get back on their feet after what's happened in their states because of coronavirus.
So it's interesting because she said exactly, we need to fund government so we can continue to grow the economy and make sure frontline workers have resources. I've noticed that they always throw frontline workers in there. I think that's, very sensitive to most of us. We want to make sure our frontline workers are taken care of. And so that's kind of a buzzword right now. But how has funding the government ever grown the economy?
Yeah, the Democrats have been really out front saying that this money needs to go through because it will help the economy grow. I think maybe the proper way to digest this is it might help the economy recover, but there's a lot of questions about this level of stimulus spending and what impact it's going to have in the long term, because already the debt is approaching $27 trillion, and the deficit was estimated to be $1 trillion back in January, but now it's going to be $3.3 trillion by the end of the year, which is a record amount of money. And most economists that I've either talked to or read reports and analysis that have been published, they're saying that some stimulus, of course, is needed in the short term. But most of them agree in the long term, this debt and deficit, carrying this load, has to be addressed at some point because in the long term, it's not sustainable. And when I've asked some experts on the federal budget, how long do we have before some sort of financial meltdown where austerity measures are needed? They don't really give an estimate. They're hesitant to say how long it could take, but they all agree at some point this is not sustainable, and this stimulus is just making the inevitable, some sort of financial problem, making it inevitable so much faster because we're doing so much now.
Yep, we seem to all see that, but no negotiations. It's strange. Nicholas Balassi from Just the News, thank you so much for coming on again. We always enjoy having you. Steve, he is not wrong. This is a big issue right now. Obviously, he is there in D.C. for us and able to talk to these folks. It's always nice to get somebody out there on the ground.
Yes. Meanwhile, to the south, Hurricane Sally, the aftermath thereof, pounding the Gulf. Shores area and beyond. Our own Ben McMillan from Weather Nation is there in Foley, Alabama today with the latest on what's happening in the cleanup after Sally. Here he is.
Yeah, hey guys, Ben McMillan continuing coverage on the ground out here in Alabama. We are watching what Hurricane Sally left behind in its wake coming on shore on Wednesday morning with over 100-mile-an-hour winds, a Category 2 storm. Here in Foley, Alabama, one of the examples of considerable damage that we've been seeing. Large trees, probably 50 to 100 years old, coming down on houses around here, breaking holes in the roof. We spoke with one gentleman just moments ago that said the wind sounded like screaming or sirens, very high-pitched wind, followed by that crashing noise of debris hitting the house and in some cases coming through the roofs of the houses. A very scary storm to live through. We spoke with one person, Ken from Gulf Shores, about what he saw.
Supposed to be a big wind event, so I stayed in the house because I knew the water couldn't get there. The water started rising and the wind got worse and worse. And the house started coming apart. Windows blew out. I was upstairs, so I had to go downstairs and make a pallet with linens, believe it or not, in the storage room. I stayed there till it passed. Then I swam through the water out to 59, a couple of 100 yards, trying to get to my friends. My phone doesn't work and they have no idea what's going on. So I just got to let them know that I'm okay. Never again. I'll never do that again. It's not worth it.
Yeah, never again indeed. We hope that Ken doesn't have to live through anything like this ever again. But keep in mind the next few weeks here in the continental U.S. is still peak hurricane season. We want people to have a plan to keep themselves and their families safe, and then keep the folks down here in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast region, Alabama, in your thoughts. They will need it. It's going to be a long recovery. Both the power, the resources that need to come into this region is considerable. We'll be with you every step of the way, keeping you up to date. For America's Voice News in Alabama reporting, I'm Ben McMillan.
Ben right there in the thick of it, Tudor, no question about it. It's been a rough ride for those folks. Second hurricane along the Gulf shores there in the Gulf Coast, in the last 2 weeks. And now Teddy is shaping up as another storm making its way through the Atlantic region. We'll see if Teddy gets a bad attitude on his way to the United States, too. I'm not sure yet. We'll keep an eye on it. And, of course, Ben McMillan will for us as well, Tudor.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say, Teddy, that this gets us toward the end of the alphabet, and this is still not incredibly late in the season. We could still see more hurricanes, so they're wondering when we will go to the Greek alphabet. That seems like it's coming up. But we will be back soon after this break. We'll be right back with America's Voice Live.
Stay tuned to get a free pan from Granite Stone. Stuck on eggs, burnt on batter. You can scrub and scrape, but you can't escape the nightmare of your sticky pans. Introducing the Granite Stone Pan, the all-new durable non-stick pan. No butter or oil needed. Watch, we melted down these sticky candies in Granite Stone, and it just doesn't stick. We cooked a half a dozen eggs, bacon, cheese, and tomato breakfast with no butter or oil, and it just doesn't stick. Look, caramels, chocolate, and cheese. Unreal for any other pan, but not for Granite Stone. It just doesn't stick. Granite Stone will be the last pan you'll ever need because it's pressed from a solid aluminum disc for even heat conduction, then coated 3 times with our durable Granite Stone finish. Granite Stone is metal utensil safe and won't scratch. And talk about non-stick. This salmon cooked skin side down with no added butter or oil just doesn't stick. This steak is perfectly seared just like the pros. And because Granite Stone is oven rated to 500 degrees, we bake this upside down pan pizza to perfection, and it just doesn't stick. Fire Flambe Delicious Cherries Jubilee. Plus it's PFOA free and 100% dishwasher safe. Call or go online to get your Granite Stone pan for the special TV discount price of just $19.99. Granite Stone is so durable it comes with a 10-year warranty. And with every order, you're going to get a Granite Stone single-serve egg pan absolutely free. It's the perfect size for personalized eggs, omelets, or frittatas that slide right out. It makes the best bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich quick. Yours absolutely free. We'll even ship your entire order free. That's right, free shipping. You get it all, an incredible value. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-850-0237. That's 1-800-850-0237, or order online at buygranitestone.com. That's 1-800-850-0237. Call now.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that there's a rally tonight, and if you want to watch coverage on America's Voice, you have to go to Real America's Voice. You can text 888-111, text app. APP to 888-111, and you can download the app right on your phone, and it's great because then no matter where you are, you have that device with you. You can always tune in, and I know everybody wants to hear what the president has to say, so this one's going to be late. You can just download that app one more time. It's 888-111. Just type in the word APP app. Send it. You'll get the app. You can watch it wherever you are right there on your phone. But we do have folks down at the rally in Wisconsin today. So I want to go out to Amanda Head right now and see what's happening on the ground. Amanda?
Welcome to Wisconsin. We are on site of the CWA. It is the Central Wisconsin Airport in Mosinee, Wisconsin, where President Trump is set to touch down a little bit later on this afternoon, earlier this evening, in front of a crowd of what I have heard is going to be 1,200. They're going to cap the crowd at 1,200 people, but there, I can imagine, judging by this line, that there are going to be a lot of folks who are in the spillover area outside. Now, this is the airport that we flew into last night, America's Voice crew. And as we exited this driveway last night, these folks were already lined up. Now, it went down to, I think, 42 degrees last night. So these folks, I mean, they are tough as tough comes, camping out overnight. So it was great to see those folks as we exited the airport, had a great night's rest, woke up to this spectacular weather in Wisconsin. So President Trump is going to have a great crowd here. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of the political demographics here. So we've seen a lot of national polls that have gone back and forth. And of course, we have learned from history back in 2016 where the polls were dead wrong on nearly every account. There were only a few national polls that got it right, one of which being the LA Times, me hailing from Los Angeles, being our West Coast correspondent. That was surprising to see. But this time around, President Trump, in a new poll by Rasmussen put out just a few days ago, President Trump edges out Joe Biden by just 1 point, 47 to 46. Now, Wisconsin is a battleground state. This is one of those highly contested states back in 2016 that Hillary Clinton basically ignored. Now, President Trump won the state of Wisconsin, but it was by less than 1 point. And when they performed the certified recount that was demanded by the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, it was only 23,000 votes. So that sounds like a pretty good chunk of votes. However, keep it in perspective, it was less than a point difference between the two. Here's another interesting aspect about Wisconsin. 1 in 5 Wisconsinites who believe that the riots are a bigger issue than racism in the justice system are voting for Joe Biden. It's an interesting dichotomy because President Trump this entire time has maintained his support for law enforcement, demanded law and order, and denounced BLM and Antifa riots across the country. Joe Biden, of course, has placated the left. He has refused to name Black Lives Matter or Antifa protesters as the perpetrators of the violence and the destruction and the arson all across America. So it's interesting that you've got 1 in 5 Wisconsin folks who are still willing to vote for Joe Biden. Now, as we drove here this morning, we left the hotel, and it was about a 15-minute drive over here to the airport. We saw plenty of Trump signs, only a few Joe Biden signs, but keep in mind this county, we are nestled in Marathon County. President Trump won this county by 18 to 20 points. So this is a state that roundly goes Republican. Wisconsin has 8 congressional members. 5 of those 8 are Republicans. So Wisconsin is not so different from California, where geographically speaking, it's a pretty red state, but you have those densely populated areas that vote blue, and so therefore that makes it a tighter race. But we are looking very forward to talking to all of these folks here today. President Trump is going to be here, oh my goodness, 3, 4, 5 hours. I'm from LA. I don't know what time it is, different time zone, but we're looking forward to that. We're going to talk to some of these folks a little later on this afternoon. So we appreciate you joining us here. Real America's Voice coverage of President Trump's rally here in Wisconsin.
Amanda, thank you very much. Again, out there, and coverage here on the network, we believe, starts at 8:30. We'll have live coverage at 9 o'clock tonight. Real America's Voice, Tudor, as we always bring the rallies with the president to you uninterrupted. Which is more than I can say for just about everyone else. That's kind of one of the things we like to do for our viewers.
Absolutely, and it's great coverage. You will see our people talking beforehand. We get to go right in there. We have people on the ground. We're able to see the people coming in and talk to folks on the ground. I think that's one of the coolest parts about Real America's Voice, is that you get to hear the real America's voice. And so when we go to these rallies, we talk to these folks that are there. And as you saw earlier with Ben, I always think it's so neat when you see the young girls that are there, because we hear that, young women especially are not voting for this president. But we always see younger women there who are supporting this president. I know you've seen this too, Steve.
Sure. Yeah, you mean they're not telling us the truth on some of the more traditional media outlets? I find that hard to believe. You mean the polls weren't right in 2016, like Amanda just said? I find that hard to believe. I don't think the polls are exactly accurate right now. There are a few that show the president winning in Wisconsin and Michigan and Florida and elsewhere. We'll keep an eye on it, and don't miss that live coverage on Real America's Voice right here later tonight. We'll be right back.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double-band adjustable supports for customizable compression when you need it most.
Since I put this on, I feel so much better. The core is the most important thing. To know that I'm stabilized here. Whatever I'm doing, I can give it 100%.
4 built-in stabilizing supports designed to improve posture and help reduce lower back stress and strain.
You have back pain, and it's affecting your everyday life. You do something. If you can find something to help you get back out and be active, like Copperfit, go for it. Absolutely. Do not give up.
A high-performance compression fabric infused with the powerful properties of copper, 360-degree flexible mobility, and lightweight, durable construction.
Nothing more painful than having back pains. If you're aching, if you feel like you can't work out anymore, you can. And that's with Copperfit.
Yeah. It's for all of us who still want to be active, still want to compete.
Way to go. That's what I'm talking about. Man, this really does feel good. It feels to me like the fountain of youth.
Copperfit's best-selling back support just got bigger, badder, and better. Or call 1-800-944-5851. Or on the web at advancedbackpro.com. Get yours now for only $19.99.
This does feel good.
That's what I've been saying.
You think it was fair?
It was fun.
Play for the love of the game.
Copperfit, live limitless.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Tudor Dixon alongside Steve Gruber. Steve, you are going to talk about online schooling with Julie Gunlock, but I wanted to ask you, what is your experience with online schooling? Because we did it last year. I am avoiding it at all costs this year, but I think you have a high school student that's home, right?
I do. I have one high school student, one elementary school student. Now, the elementary school student, he's in a private school, a private Catholic school, small school. They were terrific. They reached out. The conversations were great. The public school completely short-circuited. This complete virtual learning thing has been a virtual, don't make that, it's been an actual disaster, is what it has been. And the reason being is there's been no communication. So I asked my daughter, she's a junior in high school, I say, what do you think of it? She said, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. There's no real interaction with the teacher. They give them piles of homework because why not? It's just a click of a button and they give them piles of homework, and so they sit there. And she sits, in her bedroom. So it's like an extra mean version of the lockdown. I mean, we've already forced these kids to go through isolation, to be by themselves, no friends, no interaction. Sports is limited. Thankfully, where we are, sports has started to some extent, but in so many places, sports remain closed, schools remain closed. Kids need to be socialized. And I also, Tudor, feel especially bad for kids whose parents have lost their minds in all of this and keep the kids locked at home and can't see anybody, or make their neighbors wash their clothes 3 or 4 times just so their kids can go out and play. I mean, this kind of crazy behavior to me is just over the top. And yes, we're waiting for Julie Gunlock from the International Women's Forum because she's had similar experiences. But it is striking to me, Tudor, because you've been through some of this. How is it that the public schools and the schools in general didn't come to the parents? They had all summer. I mean, most of the schools in the country have been out since, what, March? I mean, they could have come to us and said, hey, let's talk about a plan. Parents get involved. Let's get on a Zoom meeting. I've had none of that from the district that I'm in. And my district is considered highly regarded. And it's been terrible.
No, we were told the decision would be made a week before school as to whether or not it was going to be online learning or home learning. I think we had about 2.5 weeks where we could choose online or home, and you had to commit to one or the other. Now, the neighboring district, I know what they're doing, and some of my friends who have children in high school, that what their children are doing is they have 2 days in school, 1 day home, and exactly what you said, Steve, that 1 day they don't have any learning whatsoever online. They have 2 days of online, 2 days in school. That middle day, that Wednesday, is homework all day. They have assignments all day long, and so they're in their homes and they have to try. And so you have, think about, not only do you have students that are in their senior year, this is their last year, and you know how important high school is when you're in high school, but you have students that are having their first year of high school. So coming in as a freshman, this has to be so hard to figure out what you're doing as a freshman in high school, changing schools, that the curriculum gets more difficult, and you're only in school with your teacher a couple days a week, some students not in at all.
And let's compound that a little bit, because the concern is it's not just the students that are stressed out. It's also the parents that are stressed out. Financial problems, financial challenges, the issues that they face trying to figure out how do they teach the kids, because some of the parents feel like they're not qualified to teach the kids math or science or whatever it may be. I believe that we do have Julie Gunlock now from the International Women's Forum. Do we not? I'm trying to figure out. I saw her. Here she comes. Julie Gunlock, good to have you here. International Women's Forum, who has been talking at length about parents being locked at home. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. So you and I have talked a couple of different times. You are completely fed up with the public schools and their lack of communication with you, the parent, about, okay, what are we going to do here? We had, since March, the schools have been shut down, and we've been kept in the dark here, Julie. How is that even okay with anyone?
Oh, it's not. There's been a lot of complaints in a community, actually, that doesn't complain a lot. My community tends to, be very forgiving, be very patient, and I'm seeing just outrage from parents who normally wouldn't complain. So people are very impatient. The public school system was secretive, didn't share things with parents. Meanwhile, the private schools did share things with parents. And we live in such a close community to private schools and public schools that it's all very close together, that we've witnessed better communications with the private schools. We've witnessed, parent input being considered. So I think there's a lot of fed up parents in my community.
That is exactly my experience. I have one student in high school that's in the public school and one student that's in elementary school in the small private Catholic school. The Catholics were were back and forth conversations. Here's what we're going to do. Here's our plan. Here's our plan to keep the building safe. The public schools, silence, crickets. I didn't know what to think. So that's been a big challenge. And what about the parents that aren't prepared to teach math or science or social studies? They're like, I've got to work. I can't do all of this. They can't. So the stress inside some of these homes has got to be a pressure cooker.
It really is. And I will tell you, I actually, for the first time this year, I am homeschooling my son. And, I was very worried. I felt like you. I mean, I'm actually not good at math. Okay. So I really worried about this. But I will tell you, the homeschool curriculum that I received, and I'm telling you, the choices, I felt actually overwhelmed. It was an embarrassment of riches. They are so incredible how they give you the tools. There's different kinds. The one I got is what's sort of considered a school in a box. So I'm given daily activities, I'm given the daily plans. It's wonderful. So I think for anybody who's afraid to take that leap, they should know that homeschooling companies and homeschooling sort of curriculums make it very easy for parents to take this step.
You mean private enterprise works even in education? Amazing. Let me write that down. Private Enterprise, free enterprise works. Julie Gunlock here with the International Women's Forum here with us. I want to talk to you about something else here, Julie, and that is the curriculum that's being taught in public schools. I know you have a strong opinion on this as well. Critical race theory, the widely discredited 1619 Project, the propaganda being taught to students, the indoctrination, not the education being received in public schools. I know that the president is talking about this today. We hope to see him before this hour is over. But what is your take on all of this stuff? My mother was a school teacher. She would have said this is a bunch of gobbledygook. That's what she would have said, and she would have meant it. And she would have meant it's complete garbage. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure I use as clean a language as your lovely mother, but I agree with her that it is gobbledygook. Again, I sometimes have trouble controlling myself, but I will tell you, it is teaching children historical fiction. You might as well sit them down to watch, to binge watch Man in a High Castle, because this is not history. And the head of the 1619 Project has actually said that this is journalism. It is not history. It's essentially storytelling. But what kids are going to get through this curriculum are more reasons to hate their country, to not recognize both the sins and the greatest.
Right, and the greatest traditions of this country as well. You have to we have to focus on the traditions of what makes America great, and that's being ignored. And I think it started with a guy by the name of Howard Zinn. Of course, you know his name and the textbooks and the garbage he put out. An American-hating leftist that was able to create textbooks that were full of sloppy work, inaccurate depictions, again, teaching kids to hate America. And you wake up in 2020 and go, gosh, I wonder why these kids don't like America. Well, you might want to trace that right back to the public schools.
And this is Howard Zinn. This was the history. This was going on when I was in later years of high school and in college. And this is, when you think of teachers, that generation of kids then went off to teach. And now we have critical race theory. We have shaming people for being white or for being Asian or what have you. And really telling, this is the most tragic part, is telling black children it is hopeless. You have no hope. You have no chance of doing anything in this country. You're a victim.
Yeah.
It is very dangerous to tell kids that.
Yeah, you're a victim, and it's that kid's fault over there and that one over there. How do you build a cohesive nation and the fabric of a nation by behaving in that way? And the answer is you don't. Julie Gunlock, greatly appreciate you being here today. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Julie Gunlock is with the International Women's Forum. And these are challenges that are facing us all in education as a parent, as a society, as a nation. You're watching America's Voice Live. We'll be right back.
Do you have any idea how your mattress affects your body and how well you sleep? Is it too hard or too soft, causing you to wake up with sore shoulders, back, or hips? Are you uncomfortable because you're too hot or too cold? Now you can get the total body support you need and the better sleep you want with the new Mypillow mattress topper.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. When I invented my new Mypillow mattress topper, I made it to have everything you'd ever want in a topper. My mattress topper helps give you the support you need, helps relieve your pressure points, and regulates your body temperature for you as an individual. It comes with a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry the cover. It's made in the USA, and I back it with my 60-day money-back guarantee.
Go to MyPillow.com or call now to get your very own MyPillow mattress topper. Use the promo code and Mike will give you 30% off and 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free. Order now.
MyPillow topper delivers on its promise to give me a better night's sleep.
I can sleep all night through, and it's a miracle for me.
Mike's exclusive 3-layer design starts with a layer of MyPillow foam, providing you superior support and comfort. The second layer of transitional foam evenly distributes body weight and helps relieve uncomfortable pressure points for optimal comfort. Mike's ultra soft outer layer is a patented temperature regulating cover that helps keep you at your ideal sleeping temperature all night long. Unlike other sleep systems costing thousands, the MyPillow mattress topper takes comfort to a whole new level without any wires, remotes, or moving parts. Call now or go to MyPillow.com to order your MyPillow topper. Use the promo code to save 30%. When you do, Mike will give you 2 of his standard MyPillows absolutely absolutely free. That's right, 2 standard MyPillows free and 30% off your MyPillow topper today. Order now.
I personally guarantee it's going to change your bed into the most comfortable bed you'll ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Welcome back to America's Voice Live. I'm Tudor Dixon alongside Steve Gruber. We have been talking a lot about gun sales lately. Gun sales are up in swing states, which is interesting and very telling, I believe, for this election. But I want to bring in someone who really knows about gun sales, and that is Willis Lee. He is a board of director for the NRA. Willis, welcome back to the program. You heard what we're talking about. Gun sales are way up. What do you say that means for 2020?
Tudor, Steve, nice to be on with you. Gun sales are skyrocketing. They're skyrocketing across America. Most important for us that we're watching is they're skyrocketing in all of the battleground states. And that's critical. Now, that doesn't mean that's a vote. That doesn't mean that we don't have to advocate to folks to make sure they understand that if they want to keep that brand new firearm that they got to protect their family, that they need to vote for pro-Second Amendment candidates. But it is important that we're noticing that trend.
Well, Willis, you know that gun sales are off the charts, so are ammunition sales. If you walk into the local gun store, the chance of finding 9mm on the shelf is somewhere right around zero. Now, Michigan, I don't know why, gun sales in August up 226% over 2019. But if you look at the swing states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, it's the same in all of these places, not quite as extreme in Michigan. And it also translates to this. The last number I saw was 22 million new guns sold in America year to date in 2020. Of those, about 40 to 50% are new gun buyers, and of those, about half are women. And we know that gun buyers are voters. What kind of an impact does this have politically come November 3rd?
Steve, it's crucial, and I'll tell you, not only half women, but about half are minorities. And this is key across the nation, but especially in those battleground states. But I'll tell you, it's not just the firearms purchaser. That's a household we're talking about. That's a household that's made a decision that they want to protect their family. So there's more than one vote there. We have to get out and advocate for them so they understand the difference between voting for some candidate who just mouths the words, I support Second Amendment, but, and a candidate who truly believes that we ought to be able to protect our families and ourselves.
So you are aware, obviously, that there have been several attacks against the NRA, and you now have Vice President Biden saying he will, but actually he was saying this way back in February too. So I want to play a clip for you. He's a little, he kind of struggles to get NRA out of his mouth. I just want to warn you, but I want you to hear what he has to say and then comment on it. Here it is.
If I'm elected NRA, I'm coming for you, and gun manufacturers, I'm going to take you on, and I'm going to beat you. I'm the only one who's done it.
Is this a good message from the former vice president? He said, if I'm elected NRA, I'm coming for you. Now, how do you take that as the NRA?
Bring it on, Joe. I'll tell you, Joe thinks he's beaten us, and that's what he'll say. Well, Tudor, right now, I'm sitting here in my office. I'm strapped. I've got an AR leaning up against the wall next to me with a extended magazine on it, what he would call high capacity. The PLCAA protects the industry. Gun sales are skyrocketing. As Steve pointed out, you can't find almost any ammo, but certainly 9mm and 5.56. Across the board, we're seeing sales, minorities, women, men, everybody is out there buying. And so that's not a very good message for Joe. But as far as the NRA is concerned, we've been under attack before. It's a constant attack. And we get that because we are the big dog in the house. And they know that to take us down is an attack on freedom and it's an attack on President Trump. So they're coming after us. Yeah. We accept that.
Willis, I thought it was a political error, an unforced error by Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York, to come after the NRA, and not just come after you guys, but to say she was going to destroy you, called you a domestic terrorist organization. But we already know that companies like Remington are in bankruptcy for the second time. And most people don't realize if you took every gun manufacturer and accessory manufacturer for firearms in America and pushed it under 1/10, it would not be a Fortune 500 company. It's a small industry, is what I'm saying. People don't realize that. They think the gun industry is this giant industry. It's not. If every gun manufacturer, Ruger, Remington, Winchester, 1/10, not a Fortune 500 company. So when the government brings their entire weight against the gun industry, it's not a fair fight, except for those that support the Second Amendment. Your thoughts?
Well, it's not a fair fight in a couple ways, Steve. One is we're dealing with our money, our members' money, that have to fight off of this government tyranny is what it is. And they're dealing with our money, taxpayer money, to fight these battles. But I'll tell you, when you mention the firearms industry, it's a large at-heart industry. The people, we're dedicated, we're committed, and everybody supports the Second Amendment. Right. It's committed. But it touches so much more than just firearms. All of the hunting throws right into the conservation effort. In fact, the money that comes from hunters and fishers to support the conservation effort is greater than anything the government itself throws in. So there's a lot more that's involved in just the firearms industry when we talk about attacks from government against any private industry.
Well, you're exactly right. Most people don't realize the excise taxes on hunting equipment, for example, pay for federal wildlife funds, and not just for game species, boys and girls. Keep this in mind. It's for non-game species as well, songbirds and habitat development. Where does that come from? From people that hunt and fish in this country. Willis, you know that, but a lot of people don't realize that those that hunt and fish give back many times over from their wallets to make sure America is a clean, green, and wonderful place.
Now, while we're doing that, we're looking at this surge of folks who don't usually buy or own firearms come to the forefront because they're watching what we're watching. The leftist cities are driving this, and it's coming into the suburbs, and it's coming into the swing states, where you have folks that are watching the riots in Portland, the violence and the looting in Seattle, the daily murders on the south side of Chicago. It's gotten national news, and people are more concerned now about their safety. They're concerned about protecting their family, and that's what we're here to do. Part of what the NRA does, the major part of what the NRA does, is firearms safety and training. We've got 117,000 certified instructors spread across the U.S., and they are right now busily engaged with a lot of first-time firearm owners.
Yeah.
Thank you, Willis Lee, NRA Board of Directors. Always appreciate having you here. And I thought something he said was very interesting, Steve, and something that people need to keep in mind is that just because you are a member of the NRA, that is not a vote to make sure that the Second Amendment still exists. And that's important. That's why they do all of this outreach and all of the training.
That's right. 5 million members officially the NRA has, but 25 million people across this country identify as NRA members when surveyed. Think about that. 25 million people in this country think they're NRA members, and maybe they were previously, and maybe their membership has run out. But that's how large the hardcore gun community is in America. And again, those that buy guns vote, Tudor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to make sure you vote in 2020 for sure. And it's important to make sure you stay right here because we'll be right back with more on America's Voice Live.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best sleep of my life. They are so soft and smooth. I never slept so good.
I fall asleep faster because I'm actually comfortable.
I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable, which is why I can give you my full 10-year warranty. But I didn't stop there. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. I guarantee you the first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now. MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors and will be the softest, most comfortable sheets you will ever own. Use the promo code and get 2 for 1 low price, plus free shipping. Giza Dreams are made with the finest, most sought-after cotton in the world. Giza cotton was once reserved for only the finest dress shirts, but is now available in Mike's Giza Dream Sheets. They feature a beautiful silky sateen weave that helps keep you cool and comfortable all night long.
With the Giza Dream Sheets, I'm getting the best rest of my life.
I love my Giza Dream Sheets.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Use the promo code and Mike will give you a very special 2-for-1 low price and free shipping. That's right, get 2 for 1 low price and free shipping. Call or go online now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
We'd like to take you over to the White House live right now, where Vice President Mike Pence is talking about history and education here in America. The president's set to speak here in just a few minutes, but Tudor, let's listen in for just a moment.
Teach the next generation the principles enshrined in these halls. We can't expect them to preserve them. No one can preserve what they do not love, and no one can love what they do not know. That's why on this Constitution Day, our president will reaffirm our commitment to the principles and liberties that this administration has championed from day one, and take measurable steps to ensure that future generations will continue to understand the historical and philosophical roots of our nation. What we do here today is a part of our ongoing commitment to ensure that the rising generation will be able to do their part, as we know they will, to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. And this we know they will do, because these principles are not just enshrined in these national archives, they're enshrined in the hearts of the American people. And I know these great principles will prevail, because like our president, I have faith in the American people. And I have faith that he who guided our founders on this day 233 years ago guides us still. For as the father of our Constitution, James Madison, reflected on this day, and I quote, "It is impossible not to perceive in it a finger of that almighty hand which has been so frequently and signally extended to our relief at critical stages of the revolution." So it's Constitution Day in America. And with gratitude to all of those who have gone before, and gratitude to all of you who are gathered here, who love and cherish our heritage of freedom. With gratitude to God who has ever guided the destiny of this land. And gratitude to a president who has ever championed the freedoms and ideals enshrined in this place. It is now my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
This is
and as
the White House Conference on American History. The president.
Go ahead.
President walking out to the podium, and we are going to hear from him, it looks like right now, so we're going to head back out.
Thank you, Mike. Great Vice President. I'm truly honored to be here at the very first White House Conference on American History, so important. Our mission is to defend the legacy of America's founding, the virtue of America's heroes, and the nobility of the American character. We must clear away the twisted web of lies in our schools and classrooms and teach our children the magnificent truth about our country. We want our sons and daughters to know that they are the citizens of the most exceptional nation in the history of the world. To grow up in America is to live in a land where anything is possible, where anyone can rise, and where any dream can come true, all because of the immortal principles of our nation's founders, inscribed nearly 2.5 centuries ago. That's why we've come to the National Archives, the sacred home of our national memory. In this great chamber, we preserve our glorious inheritance, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. On this very day in 1787, our founding fathers signed the Constitution at Independence Hall in Philadelphia. It was the fulfillment of 1,000 years of Western civilization. Our Constitution was the product of centuries of tradition, wisdom, and experience. No political document has done more to advance the human condition or propel the engine of progress. Yet as we gather this afternoon,
Thank you for watching America's Voice Live. Stay tuned. The National Pulse is coming up next.
Brett Favre, legendary quarterback. Jerry Rice, legendary wide receiver.
You ready for your weekly meeting?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's do this. Let's stack the deck.
When legends play, they wear Copperfit Advanced Back Pro. Copperfit's best-selling compression back support just got better with new double band adjustable supports.